Welcome to The Brain Changers, a podcast about learning how to revolutionize the way you think and live by mastering your mind. We're your hosts, mother and daughter duo Rebekah and Yvonne King from Moonbeam Monday. Our goal is to empower you to live the life you choose by teaching you how to retrain your brain. Some people tell us it sounds like mind control, and it is, but not the way you might think. This is about you taking control of your own mind rather than letting your mind control you, so you can choose to live a life free from the expectations of others. No matter what you've experienced in the past, you can create positive change and transformation by learning how to master your mind. We know this because we've done it. Between us, we've survived cancer and stroke and eliminated debilitating anxiety and depression. We've turned our pain into purpose through the power of our mind, and we're now here to support and guide you to do the same. In this podcast, we share valuable insights about how your brain works, why you think, say, and do the things you do, how to begin the process of change, and why it's necessary. Because we know that when you change your mind, you change your life. Thanks for joining us. Let's go. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Brain Changers. My name is Rebekah King. I'm not here with Yvonne today, but instead I have a very special guest with me who has an inspiring story of transformation. So joining us is Alli, a remarkable woman who has experienced quite an incredible transformation since we began coaching a couple of years ago. So welcome to The Brain Changers, Alli.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Great to have you here today. Now, it's one thing for me to share my journey of transformation and for Yvonne to share her journey of transformation with neuro-linguistic programming and hypnotherapy, but to hear it from someone else who has been through the process and been through the transformation as well, all the challenges that change can throw up at you and everything that comes with that can be something quite different. So thank you so much for agreeing to come on and share with us today, Alli. We're really, really grateful. Now, just to give everyone a bit of background about you, perhaps we could start with just maybe in 30 seconds or less, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm close to my 50s, so my big 50 next year, which is exciting but scary. I have 4 beautiful stepchildren, which I was on that journey around 18 years ago when I met them. So they're now close to, they're adults, they're running their own lives. I have been with my husband for obviously 18 years. I have 2 fur babies, which are Italian greyhounds. So I'm surrounded by lots of beautiful people in my life. I have a corporate job, but I'm also a highly creative person. So I am an artist, which I say outside of work, but obviously that's probably one of the reasons why I've been doing a little bit of coaching with you. A lot of beliefs in there about, I guess, you can't make that as a career, that kind of thing. So I really had this passion inside me around art and being creative. So that's a little bit about me and I guess my journey so far.
Awesome. Thank you for that insight into your life. It's just nice to know a little bit of background. And as you know, I love your art. I gush about your art to anybody that will listen. And one of the things that I love in particular about you, Alli, is you're such a generous person. And I've been lucky enough to see some of your art that you've donated to charity to help raise money for those organizations. I was just looking at your Instagram page, and I think you're up to nearly $27,000 that you've helped raise in the last couple of years. Is that right?
That's right. I set myself a goal. For me, it's about I'd love to share my gift. I want to make the world more beautiful, which I think art and creativity can do. So it's my way to give back to my community, because I think the community we live in is very special and we should nurture each other.
Oh, that's really beautiful. I love that. It's been wonderful to watch that evolve even further as we've been working together. I'd love for you to start just by giving our listeners an indication of what was it that actually brought you to coaching? Why did you think you needed coaching? What was happening in your life at the time?
It was quite funny. I'd actually missed a couple of luncheons and dinners, which is not like me at all. So I'm a really scheduled, very organised. That's my superpower. I get told all the time about making sure I'm very punctual, get things done.
Mhm.
But I felt like life was unraveling a little bit. So I just wasn't thinking clearly. Things weren't aligning. I missed a couple of lunch dates, and it was actually at one of these missed lunch dates I was running late for. My friend reminded me. I got there and she'd actually done some coaching, and she said, she looked at me, and I think I must have even looked a little bit all over the place. So she sort of said, "Ah, have you thought about doing some coaching?" So I'm also a huge one for personal development. So I don't like to get stuck in my ways. And when I identify that things are unraveling, it's like, what can I do to improve?
Mhm.
Or what changes do I need to make? So that's probably the catalyst. Was a suggestion from a friend, because obviously it was clear to others around me as well as myself that things weren't quite right.
Interesting, isn't it? And that's the thing. It's often there's a lot going on in our lives that perhaps we're not even aware of, but maybe somebody else brings it to our attention or something happens. It's like
Yes.
that proverbial straw that breaks the camel's back, so to speak.
Yeah, it was a lot of little things as well. It just, I didn't feel aligned with myself. So even inside and outside, things just, I don't know, I didn't feel like it was myself.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it was almost like just a misalignment going on somewhere, just a total disconnect. And then I think I was also having trouble navigating people, relationships. So it was like personal, professional, everything was just, I didn't know, and I felt quite stuck.
Right. Yeah. And so that's interesting to hear that it wasn't just one particular area of your life. It
And
was
no,
sort
it was flowing.
of
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flowing across every single element.
Yeah, okay. And you said you've got this feeling of being stuck and this misalignment. How do you interpret that in terms of how were you feeling at the time? Do you remember?
To be honest, I'm really quite a naturally high person. So I'm bubbly, happy all the time. And to be honest, I was probably feeling quite low,
Mm,
not my natural self, struggling to be a little bit happier, or I felt like I had to put this kind of like facade on for people. So I just didn't feel really like myself, and I felt quite flat. And
right.
I couldn't quite work out what it was myself. I couldn't navigate it myself, and that was the issue that I was having. It was creating problems at work. So, for example, certain relationships, I was struggling with those. And so then I was probably responding in a way that wasn't aligned to who I am as a person. I would say, even from a relationship point of view, relationships with friends, family, partner,
Mm.
all of it, because I couldn't pick out what it was coming across into everything. So then I wasn't probably behaving in a way that I wanted to behave in, and it
Mm.
was creating triggers for me.
So what were some of the first steps that we took together that started to help you, or any strategies or techniques that started to help you or help you realize what was actually going on?
I still remember the first session.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do, because it was when at the end of it, I was sitting there going, that was not groundbreaking stuff. But what I find, or even through the whole session, the whole period that I've known you, sometimes what it is, it's easier when you look at somebody, you can see it and you can go, oh, you get it. You can give them guidance. But when it's yourself, sometimes it's really hard to navigate it. It's hard to look inside yourself and actually see it really clearly. So it's simple exercises that we did was around one, understanding my values. It was super easy, but when I started to unpack what my values were, a couple of things became really clear. There were a misalignment in my values. And so when you've got a misalignment, it does create problems. So for me, that simple activity around understanding my values was really vital.
Mm.
Other ones that we did was around, we created like a bit of a mood board as well about what I do want to be and what I want the world to perceive me as. And that was transformational, because I remember at the end of those sessions, I did some drastic things, which was cut all my hair off. I changed a lot of my clothing. And I always felt that I had a misalignment with what I looked like on the inside and the outside. And so once they became aligned, I have totally become a different person, and I finally feel like me.
Yeah.
And that was huge for me. That was probably the biggest one.
Mm.
I also, another one, we set a lot of goals, and for me it was around action, and I talked about it right at the beginning. I'm highly organized. It's my superpower. I have lists for everything, and I'm not a procrastinator, and I love to get things done. But it was really important for me to have that structure, create tasks, and make sure that I was accountable and actually put the work in to be able to get those actions done. And that transformed everything, because I had a clear path where before I was feeling stuck, I then had a clear path about how do I get out of that stuck feeling. So it became really clear and really easy for me to navigate that once I was able to see light. The other thing that we did is we worked on triggers a lot. I had some childhood trauma, I would say, like a lot of people. And what you taught me was there were a lot of beliefs that I was given, even around my art, other behaviors that have happened in my life that were creating, when those things came up in my life, even around those work relationships, it would take me back. And so those triggers for me were then creating a problem, because I was then responding how I would have back then, because I associated that same link. But then what it's taught me through this was I actually can now navigate that better. I can separate the triggers. I can reset my brain and now normalize it, and actually then create a better way of actually responding. So I don't have to respond to other people. I'm in control of my own ways. And that was really powerful.
Yes. It's so much in that, Alli, and I love hearing how actually the thing I love most about what you just said at the very beginning, you said our first session together, you walked away and you thought that was not groundbreaking. And I actually love that you said that. I love your honesty. And I think what's important there is that everybody's going to have a different experience, you know, and when I work with a coach, I'm going to have a different experience to what you had. And some of the things that we work on, they are things that we've heard before, or we might have read about them, or, you know, a lot of people say, I know what I need to do. I don't know why I can't do it. And I think you might have even said that to me at some point in time.
Absolutely.
And so that's why perhaps it didn't seem groundbreaking. But then, like you said, once you start putting the pieces together, once we started looking at the root cause for why you're feeling the way that you do, for the why you're feeling stuck, then things start to make a little bit more sense. And rather than being hard on yourself and going, I should be able to do this, you know, that dreaded S word, it's like, okay, maybe I can cut myself some slack, because now I realize why this is happening and what I can do to get myself back on track. And that, you know, that misalignment of values, it's funny, you're the first person I've heard that said that was easy. Most people, isn't that cool? Most people say that they find that values exercise quite challenging. But what you got out of it, from what I heard there, is that you knew what your values were. It's just there was something stopping you from living those values, because you couldn't see that end result. You couldn't see that, you weren't quite clear on the purpose. But once you discovered your purpose through understanding your values, everything slotted into place, almost like, you know, those final puzzle pieces where you go, oh, bang, 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 they all slot into place
They all come together at the end. Yeah.
to create a
Well,
beautiful picture.
yeah, it's funny. I say it was easy. There were parts that were easy. There were probably some other sessions that were confronting, and they probably left me feeling raw, because what I actually, you said it before, it goes back to root cause. So what I thought were some of the issues, they weren't the issues. So the root cause was really more about beliefs and triggers and things that had happened in the past. And it was how I was responding, and it was not being able to navigate that well enough.
Yeah.
Once I broke that down and I got back to the root cause and worked on that, the other parts were like, well, that's actually not a problem anymore, because I was able to navigate it better. Relationships, that kind of thing. It was, and now I realize those things are actually amazing, because I can navigate them well.
Yeah. And those times where when you realize that we needed to look at the root cause, so the problem that you were having now in the present was actually related, as you said, to something that had happened a long time ago. Now, I know some people are a little bit reluctant to go digging into the past because it's been painful. And of course, the longer we leave something, the harder it can get to address that. So for somebody perhaps thinking, oh, I want to leave the past where it is, I don't want to go digging around there, what would you say to that person about your experience and how that's maybe changed things?
From my own personal experience, if I hadn't gone back and I hadn't unpacked it and I hadn't learnt to navigate it, I think I would probably still be stuck. I am the happiest I have been in a long time. I've broken beliefs around myself, things about my childhood, about not being wanted, not being good enough, not being loved, being in a really probably unstable environment. Things even with my art, you'll never make a career out of art. They have held me back my entire life. Now I'm almost 50, and I would say I'm probably at the point where I've now realized I have a gift. I'm amazing. I'm happy. I'm worthy. I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of friendship. I'm worthy of all those things. Now, if I hadn't done that piece of work, I probably wouldn't be in the state that I am now.
Mm.
And now I'm actually thinking to myself, my art is something that is missing in my life. And I'm now starting to really push that. And it's taken me on an amazing new journey, which I'm super excited about.
Oh, so am I no idea how excited I am to watch what happens from here on in. You've done the work as you've just explained, and thank you for going into that detail. I think it's important to share with people that before we do the work, we're in pain in some way, right? At some particular level, and it can feel painful to revisit some things or to ask questions about what might have happened in the past. But what we often don't realize is that even though and maybe it's discomfort more than pain, even though we sit in that discomfort for a short amount of time, it's nothing compared to if we stayed there and lived the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years in that discomfort. So it's a short amount of discomfort for everything that you've just explained, like, wow, I've just had this explosion of, I've smashed beliefs, these triggers have gone. The way that you talk about yourself, Alli, I love so much because we tend to put ourselves down. And I love that you're actually able to express this. And I hope that it gives more people the encouragement they need or the inspiration they need to go, you know what, I can do that too.
We should be able to love ourselves. Like for me, I'm 50, and I know in the past it was a scary thing, and it's like, oh, I'm just getting old. Nah, it's the best time of my life. I feel more
Yes.
beautiful now, more myself now, more inspiring. Everything around my life now is so much better because I've invested the time in my personal development to make sure I grow. Otherwise, it would have held me back. Even the art side, my brain now, because I used to have this fear and I still remember it. The last session we had, because we had one recently, because I was starting to feel that stuck feeling again.
Mm-hmm.
And you said to me, because I said, I feel like this is fear around my art. Like, I don't want to put myself out there. What if people don't like it? Or what if I don't succeed?
Mm-hmm.
Your words to me were, but what if you do? So it was a simple mind shift that I made. And now I'm doing all these commission pieces. I've got a huge opportunity. I've got my art in a gallery at the Mark Lobert Gallery now. All these amazing opportunities have happened within a 6-week period since that last session. It was so rapid. And my brain now has opened up to the amount of creative ideas I need to get out of my brain, because it's like an explosion. It's like something has opened up inside me, that I have got this new belief that I can do it. I'm not now going to be led by fear.
I love that. I get all the feels when you say that. I'm really glad that you mentioned that because we did work together. I don't know how many times we worked together, but this was about 2 years ago. We met each other and started coaching together. And then, we didn't see each other for quite some time because you were feeling really good. You were making lots of changes and shifts. And then you came back and you said, actually, Beck, I'm at this point. It's not where I was in the beginning, but I've now reached this other point and I'm a bit stuck on this. And I think that's really important to talk about, is that just because we have this incredible transformation, we go down this track, we address things that have been holding us back for a long time, doesn't mean that there'll never be another point in our life where we need help or support. It's a continual journey. I'm really making friends with that word.
It's a muscle. I think you've said that to me before, and it is a muscle. So there are great practices that I put in place last time, and you can't control the environment and those around you. So sometimes things will appear in your life that you go, actually, I'm not sure how to navigate it, because once again, you're too close to it. Sometimes you just need that tiny little support in the background to go, actually, here's what you need to do. So I don't see this as a short-term relationship. For me, I call it life coaching, because I need that person in my life to sometimes help me navigate those sort of things. And it could be one session here and there. It could be 2 sessions to get me out of it.
Yeah.
But the value that it's created in such a short amount of time over those last couple of years, and the person I am now, there is no way that I'm not investing that personal time and growth in myself, because I don't want to be that person that I was previously. And I know how much value I'm getting out of it. Those triggers that it used to create in me, it would just leave me raw because I couldn't navigate them. And it really was impacting my career path. I've now been promoted at work. I've got all of these other things that are happening because I can navigate those relationships so much better, because I'm not triggered by past experiences.
Oh, congratulations. That's such great news. I love to hear that. Yeah, it's almost like once we get out of our own way, even though we're not doing it on purpose.
No, you don't even know you're doing it.
Exactly. We don't know any different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey there, listeners. This is Rebekah King, the Brain Changer, helping you revolutionize the way you think so you can live your life on purpose. If you're loving what you're learning here on The Brain Changers, we've got something special for you. Take back control of your own mind and truly connect with like-minded people by joining our Mind Masters Collective, a premium subscription membership for those who want to feel happy and confident again, to feel seen, heard, and valued at an incredibly affordable price. Inside, you'll gain exclusive access to a supportive community of people on the same journey as you, knowing they want something more and ready to invest in themselves to achieve it. You'll get loads of valuable resources and expert guidance on mastering your mind to help you live your absolute best life. You'll make new connections and friends that you didn't even know you needed. We'll get close and personal in monthly masterclasses with guest experts and monthly mastermind group coaching to help you navigate the challenges and celebrate the wins as you grow and change. Join us now by clicking the link in the show notes. We're all waiting excitedly for you to join us inside the collective. So you've told us a little bit about how your life is different since coaching. Can you tell us some of the things that you do differently? So apart from how you feel, what are some of the things that you now do differently?
I actually have a journal, which sometimes I do get a little bit lazy on, but I have to remind myself to come back to it. There are amazing books that I've been reading as well around personal development. A huge one that's come up recently is about connecting with your tribe, and that's words I know you've used with me in the past. What I've probably found over my life journey is, as I'm getting older, I have amazing, beautiful people in my life, but it's also about making sure you're connecting and you're building a tribe of like-minded people that really help guide and support you. And you're surrounding yourself by those people that really actually, they encourage you and they support you, not bring you down. So that's probably a really big one. I do simple things like even meditation. So it's about keeping my mind clear, meditating. I also have this thing where on my birthday every year, I revisit my values. So the activity that we did a couple of years ago, I make sure that my values, because sometimes they change, and we actually had a aha moment not long ago with, I looked at one of my values and it never quite felt right. And then I realized from our last session, I needed to change that value and it became so much clearer.
Yeah.
So I revisit those values. That's something I do on my birthday as a invest in myself. I take probably half an hour on my birthday, sit down with a cup of coffee, and I sit down and I revisit those things. So it's just making sure I bring it, I remember it. It's like exercise. I'm just constantly retraining myself to make sure that I'm doing the right thing and I'm not getting caught back into the negative.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. I love that you can share some of these practical tools for other people. And I remember you telling me after we'd done the values exercise and it had become clear to you, you said, I'm actually going to do this. This is going to be, my birthday is going to be a me day every year. It's not going to be about everybody else and having a big party and all of that kind of stuff. It's going to be about me. What can I do for myself? And, you know, it might include some nice things like the massage or the pedicure or something like that, which is wonderful. But it's about being true to yourself, understanding yourself, and making sure that you're on track for a wonderful year ahead. And I must admit, I actually took that that idea, borrowed it, and I've done that on my birthday for the last couple of years as well. So thank you for sharing that. And you mentioned journaling as well. And I know a lot of people go, oh, journaling. But tell us about what that particular exercise does for you, whether you do it regularly or not.
I was one of those people, I'm like, journaling, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was a bit resistant to start off with. But I have my journal there and I sit down when I'm feeling like I need to clear my brain. It's a point where I can stop, I can get it out on paper, I can look back and I can reflect. And a couple of things that I do are things like affirmations. So I will write them and I'll convert it and I'll make sure that the language is, if I've written something negative, it's about how do I then swap that around? So it's making me stop, it's making me reassess, and then it's making me move forward or change what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, rather than a journal in a negative, it's a journal in a positive sense where I can put it down. And it's also something where I've gone back to and I can see how far I've come in a couple of years. So from where I was to where I am now is substantially, like, it's so different. I can't even express to people the journey that I've gone on and my mindset. And it is a total shift in mindset on where I was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really beautiful thing because sometimes you'll have these little blips that will come along your way and you'll go, darn, I just wish I hadn't responded that way. It's kind of reminds me of how I did it previously. But what I've learned is those situations are less and less. I respond and I turn it around much faster than what I used to. So that's why I say it's like a muscle. You have to constantly train. So you're not going to do things perfectly all the time. We're not perfect. But what you learn is you respond better. Those times where you do have triggers, they're less. So it's just that journal is a reminder of how far I've come, but it's also a way that I can get what's in my head out, reevaluate it, look at it, and then maybe reposition it. So that's the tool, and that's how I use my tool.
Love it. I love that. And everybody will use tools differently, but it is yeah, I love that you think about it as a tool as well. It's not just something you have to do, or, you know, you really see the benefit. And of course, how can we measure change if we haven't set a parameter around that? How do we even know that we've improved? How do we know that we've grown if we've got nothing to measure it against? And so you're using it as a measurement stick as well, which I love. Alli, what do you think your life would be like right now if you hadn't have had coaching?
To be honest, I think I would still be stuck. I would say I would be struggling with relationships. I would be triggered still. I wouldn't be navigating them. And I don't think I would be as clear in the path that I've got around my art. I don't think I would also, I think I'd also still have a misalignment with my inside and my outside. So it's about what I feel like I should be on the inside and outside. I don't think I would have gone through this physical transformation that I've gone through as well if I hadn't actually done my coaching.
And that was, I think you mentioned this earlier, that really was one of those light bulb moments for you, like an aha moment.
It really was.
I remember that session. I remember you came
Yeah.
on, you'd had a haircut. I think you maybe colored your hair slightly differently. You were back in like these bright colored clothes, and the smile on your face was just, it lit up the whole screen. And it was that moment that the penny has dropped.
Yes.
I understand who I am. I am who I have always wanted to be. You realized the one of the beliefs that had been holding you back from being that person that you wanted to be. And now every time that I've seen you since, because we do see each other in real life sometimes as well, it's just completely different to that first Alli that I met.
Oh, my confidence level has gone through the roof. I'm so confident, and I'm confident enough to now. I used to wear a lot of greys, blacks. I never had color. In fact, I remember my husband saying, "You have got not one piece of color in that wardrobe." Now I don't have one piece of black in that wardrobe. It's all
Yeah,
color, and yeah,
it,
when you know me, everyone's like, "What do you mean?" Because now people, if I went back, people go, "I can't even imagine you wearing black."
yeah,
And it's a funny thing because I think people used to perceive me as being really confident or happy or whatever, and sometimes we do have these facades that we put on,
yeah,
and people can go, "Oh, they've got an amazing life," whatever. Well, sometimes they don't, because you don't know all the stuff that's actually happening behind the scenes. And I was probably unraveling to a point where I just lost my confidence. I lost my direction, my path. Now I can honestly say I am the happiest I've ever been in my life. And my relationships, it comes into my relationships. My husband and like our relationship we have, it is so strong, and we are very connected, and he's such a beautiful human being, and I think I'm seeing him in a new light that I hadn't seen previously. So it flows onto everything, even the relationship I have with the children, like my stepchildren that I have. I've got 4 beautiful stepchildren, and they're now stronger than they've ever been, because I can unpack things, I can navigate things that were probably holding me back
mm,
because of my childhood and my triggers. So now I feel like I'm able to be the best version of myself, be the version I wanted to be of myself, and make sure that that flows outwards to everyone else. So now I feel like I'm reflective of how I want to be seen. I'm actually mirroring that. It's 100% of who I am.
yes. And look, Ali, it sounds like you have this incredible life, which I know that you do. Does it mean that every single day is a good one, or every
Oh,
single moment is a good one?
no, not all the time. No. So let's not pretend that it's going to be 100% of the time. I still have my days where, I wake up and I'm probably a little bit flatter than normal, or a trigger can still happen at work, or something happens. I struggle navigating a particular personality type,
Mm,
and that's okay. But it's about this journey that I've been on. It's taught me how to navigate it better than what I had previously. So what it means is, rather than me dwelling in that, which might have been for a couple of months, it might be a day, or
mm,
I'm able to get out of it faster because of the tools that I've now developed, and the personal development that I've invested in myself.
yeah.
I'm able to navigate it better than I ever have. So yeah, I still have those days, but I get out of it faster. I'm able to navigate it better, and I'm better for it.
Love that. And that's why I wanted to ask that question, because I want to be 100% transparent with people here. It is just because we do this work on ourselves doesn't mean that, things don't happen, that bad experiences happen in life. You get to a point where you just move through it so much quicker, like very,
You
very quickly.
do, yeah, 100%.
Or you don't stay there. That's the point. It's we can all get into these places. When it becomes a problem is when we stay there.
Yeah, but you're also able to identify it faster. So even
Mm,
recently, when that last session, like we hadn't had a session for a really long period of
mm,
time, I was able to identify it. I was getting back into that little stuck position again. So
mm,
I was able to identify it much faster this time than what I had previously.
mm.
And within that one session, my life has changed within that 6-week period.
Yes, I
So
know.
dramatically. It's actually a little bit crazy. So
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it. And that's why I said at the beginning of the podcast, this is really a life journey. It's a life exercise that I do about having a life coach, because every now and then you do need that little bit of assistance, because it's easier for somebody on the outside to give you and see what's happening, rather than you're too close to it. Sometimes you just need that little bit of help to basically get you unstuck.
Yeah, wonderful. Now, I want to start wrapping up because I know we've gone a little bit over our normal time, but this has been such an amazing conversation. I wanted to keep going, and I'm sure that our listeners are loving what you're sharing with them, Alli. But if I was to ask you to sum up the transformation that coaching has created in your life in 3 words, what would those words be?
Oh, it's so difficult because I've got multiple words.
Uh-huh.
If I can maybe use 2 words rather than 1 for each of
Go
them.
for
So
it.
I've got better control. My inside and my outside are aligned, and I understand my values, and I can make sure that I live them. So they're probably the biggest ones. So I don't lose control over, I know I can't control others, but what I can do is control myself, and that's huge. So I don't get triggered by others now. Well, sometimes I occasionally do, but not as much as I used to.
Yeah, you're still human. Yeah.
I'm still human. I'm not a robot. So
That's right.
yeah, it still happens, but just not as often, and I'm able to pull it back much faster.
Awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to add, or any advice you'd give someone thinking about starting their coaching journey?
Probably the only advice is, like, I really do recommend it. I've seen such a change in myself over the last couple of years, and everything I've spoken to, it's totally authentic. It's 100% how I feel. You've got to invest the time, but you can't do coaching and expect it's a magic pill. There are things that you have to do. You have to put the time in, but our personal development is really important. So if we want to become the best version of ourselves, we've got to invest in ourselves. So only we can make ourselves happy. We can't rely on others around us. So by investing in ourselves, that's what coaching does.
It is. Thank you for sharing that. And you're absolutely right. It's about investing in ourselves, putting that time and effort, because you're right, it does take time. It's an investment of time. There are certain things to do. So just like if we want to change our body, we want it to be stronger, or we want to tone it, we have to invest the time, the money, the effort to go to a gym, or to get on a bike, or to go to yoga, or whatever it is that we want to do. And we find it when I say we find it easy, that seems to be one of the things that we're willing to do. But often investing in our mind, or in learning about our mind and what's actually happening in order to make those changes, is one of the last things that we think about. So I'm glad that you mentioned that it is really about an investment in yourself. I love that. Now, Alli, we did very briefly at the beginning talk about your art. You are a wonderful artist, and I want to be able to tell people where they can see your magnificent art. So where can we send them if they're interested in having a look at that?
Probably the easiest is my Instagram page, but I'm unique. So it's Alli with 2 L's. It's ALLI Hill, HILL Designs, Alli Hill Designs is pretty much my Instagram. And I am at various different locations. At the moment, I'm at the Mark Lobert Gallery, but you'll find any updates on my Instagram page about where you can actually find where my pieces are located.
Fantastic. And we'll put those details in the show notes as well. Alli, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been a real pleasure hearing from you, especially after the relationship that we've had over the last couple of years. Thank you for being so open and honest and transparent with our listeners. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you all for listening and joining us on The Brain Changes again. And remember, when you change your mind, you change your life. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Brain Changes. We hope you've enjoyed the conversation today. Please like and subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest episodes. Our mission is to reach as many people as possible to help them revolutionize the way they think so they can change their brain and create profound transformation. Please help us broaden our reach by sharing this episode with someone you know will benefit. And remember to tag us on socials at Moonbeam Monday and leave a review. And remember, when you change your mind, you change your life. We'll catch you next time for another episode of The Brain Changes.